Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about some 70s opening tracks with long, epic intros. We're going to start off here with a really great live cut. This album was released in 1974, features two stellar guitarists, Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter. Talking about Lou Reed's Rock and Roll Animal, the track Sweet Jane. This is what you call an epic intro. Those guitars, the way they kind of harmonize together and just syncopate and just provide this incredible intro to Sweet Jane. Goes on for quite a while, at least a good 2 minutes, I would think. But the way it builds up and then it finally just breaks down and goes right into the main riff of Sweet Jane. Originally released on the Velvet Underground's Loaded album. It was the second track on that particular album following Who Loves the Sun. This live version, though, is a completely different animal. Rock and Roll Animal from Lou Reed. We're talking about Sweet Jane, the intro with guitarists Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter. Fantastic stuff here. Another one, too. This used to freak me out. The opening cut of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Love Lies Bleeding, Funeral for a Friend. That Funeral for a Friend portion used to freak me out as a child. The way it would come in with the wind blowing, and then just that howl and that funeral organ just playing at full blast, and just just building up. When synthesizers are starting to add into the mix, and then it just starts slowly kicking in. It breaks down a little bit. Elton's piano starts off, and it starts getting into a little more heavy-duty territory with good old Davy Johnstone on lead guitar. What an underrated guitarist Davy Johnstone is. Yeah, he's not like a speed king on guitar, but man, he adds some really tasty guitar licks and moments to Elton John's career. It's all over this album. Just his little guitar licks on Candle in the Wind. His guitar playing, he throws some really cool fast licks in during the Love Lies Bleeding part, and it's just fantastic. I mean, it takes a while for this song to get into verse mode, right? It's about halfway through, and then finally the verses start with Elton John singing on the Love Lies Bleeding part. But man, what a fantastic opening track. Really builds up. Really ominous sounding with that funeral organ, then breaking down with the piano, and then going into full throttle rock and roll. It's fantastic. So Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding from Elton John's album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the opening track to side one. Another great one, too, is from 1970, the opening track to Sabbath's Paranoid album, War Pigs, with the sirens going on. And that really loose rhythm section of Geezer Butler and Bill Ward, just kind of real loose and just chugging along, and that ominous sounding guitar by Tony Iommi, and then that really deep rooted Gibson SG sound from Tony Iommi. I mean, those sounds he gets are so ominous sounding, so evil sounding. This track, and then it goes into that banner, and then it goes into the singing, Ozzy Osbourne singing. I mean, it's really intense. Good stuff. Really cathartic, too. This is really good cathartic music, man, when you're in just that particular kind of mode. It's all over this album. War Pigs, Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Fairies Wear Boots. I mean, it's just all over this album. It's just very cathartic. Got me through some tough times about 10 years ago. So yeah, love the intro to War Pigs, and the way it just kicks off, and it's just so dark. Anyway, War Pigs from Paranoid, opening track, 1970 from Sabbath. How about a multi-part intro from 1973. From Paul McCartney, the title track of Band on the Run. Paul McCartney is really good at doing this kind of thing, and it sounds so natural, right? It comes in with that little guitar lick, and then the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and stuck inside these four walls, and then if we ever get out of this place, that particular part, and then the instrumental part going into the main verse, before the first line of Band on the Run. It's really, really a clever intro, multi-layered, almost has kind of that happiness as a warm gun kind of vibe. A lot of stuff going on before the verse even hits. So Band on the Run by Paul McCartney, fantastic intro from 1973, and a long one indeed, but very, very creative. 1976, Station to Station, the title track from David Bowie. Wow, what a long intro. Very industrial sounding, you know, just starting off very, very slow and getting more intense as the minutes progress. And it ends up turning into a completely different track midway through. I think this is about a 5-minute intro here before David Bowie introduces the Thin White Duke character. So cool. This is such a great record. 6 tracks, all phenomenal. Station to Station, Golden Years, which was a huge hit. Word on a Wing, some great, really heartfelt ballads like Word on a Wing, Wild as the Wind, TV-215, and I've said a lot about Stay over the years. What an amazing track. But Station to Station is an amazing intro. And again, it takes about 5 minutes for the main character to introduce himself, the Thin White Duke. And then it goes and builds and gets quicker into this more rocking, rolling kind of thing at the last maybe 4 minutes. So Station to Station, David Bowie, 1976, another fine intro. Another one I've always liked is Song Remains the Same from Houses of the Holy. I love the kind of 12-string chimey effect going on here from Jimmy Page. The way it starts off. This really has a whole new sound than the 4th record prior, especially starting with this particular track. It starts off with a lot of great drumming by Bonham and some great chime from Jimmy Page, and then some really cool, really fast licks played over the chimey part before Robert Plant's helium voice starts the song. I think they sped his voice up to make it sound like that. It sounds very helium, very Mickey Mouse sounding in certain parts of the song. He employs it a lot, that particular voice, throughout this album. But yeah, love this intro and the way it just kicks right into I Had a Dream. It's a crazy dream. Good stuff. Song Remains the Same from Houses of the Holy, kicking off a fine album. How about a really cool Mellotron opening number from Genesis, from the Foxtrot album, played by Tony Banks. This was like the kickoff track, the lead-off track for many early Genesis concerts from like 72 onward, up until about the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. They would open this track throughout this album, through the Selling England by the Pound tour, and what a great opening. If you go on YouTube and you look at old clips of this, the full performance during their Selling England by the Pound tour, you could see Peter Gabriel employing that particular outfit with his eyes, you know, kind of glowing through that costume, and the way it builds up, and that bass guitar line by Mike Rutherford. It is just an epic, epic prog rock opener, featuring just that incredible Mellotron from Tony Banks. And I think one of the greatest opening tracks of any 1970s prog rock album. So another fine opening here, a long opening before the verse starts with Peter Gabriel. Watcher of the Skies from Foxtrot from Genesis from 1972. Of course, we can't leave out Baba O'Reilly from The Who, from The Who's Next. You know, there was a time where I really loved this song, but I think when I was listening to rock FM radio in the late 70s and throughout the 80s, it just became overplayed. But there was a time I remember falling asleep. It was right before or right when The Kids Are Alright soundtrack came out, the movie. And back then, this is pre-MTV videos, certain channels late at night, like Channel 4, Channel 7, would show videos late night, like around midnight, 1 o'clock a.m. And sometimes I just fall asleep on the couch. And one night I woke up to the live version of Baba O'Reilly that's featured in The Kids Are Alright. It just blew me away. So powerful. I love some of these, like I love the version of Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again from Kids Are Alright. Happens to be the last filmed, well, the last version of the original Who with Keith Moon playing. And the version on Kids Are Alright with Baba O'Reilly is one of those last cuts. that Keith Moon played on live. And it's, you know, it's kind of ragged, it's a little loose, but I love the power of it. It's just really good with Pete Townsend, you know, smacking the tambourine. Really good stuff. But on this early version, this studio version, you've got the, you know, the looped synthesizer track, and then you got the piano coming in, then you've got the drums kicking in, and of course the guitar mimicking the piano track. So yeah, it's fantastic. How many times you've heard it? It's epic. It's amazing. Baba O'Reilly from The Who, from The Who's next album from 1971. Another one I really dig is the opening track from the Almond Brothers' Idlewild South album, the track called Revival. Really, really tasty guitar things going on from Dickie Betts and Duane Allman. And a very uplifting track. We need more tracks like this right now in this really odd age we're living in. So I listened to this morning. I love this track, Revival. It's fantastic. Again, very uplifting, great intro before that amazing vocal from Greg Allman kicks in. Love this stuff. Revival from the Almond Brothers. Fantastic intro from Idlewild South. Revival. And then I got to throw this in here because I don't know how many times I've heard this song, but I still love it. And I love the intro. Sometimes stations, sometimes satellite radio stations play it. Sometimes they don't. I love the uncut version of Maggie May with the classical guitar intro. So, so good. And then it has that little silence before the mandolin comes in. Love it, love it. So there's some of my favorite 1970s long epic intros to opening tracks. Let me know what some of your favorites are in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.